Conceive, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports UK.
Welcome to Combat Sports UK. My name is Cooper Burke. I'm here with former Oktagon bantamweight champion Jonas Mågård. Jonas, how are you?
Very fine, thank you.
Jonas, you fight on January 27th against rising contender Jack Cartwright. What are you looking forward to the most about this fight?
To get in there and just fight, to be honest. That's what I'm looking most forward to. I can't wait to go in and prove my skill sets once again and just challenging myself. So just the fighting part of it, I'm looking very much forward to. Just to go in and hurt this guy.
Of course. I mean, do you feel like there's any bad blood coming into this, or are you just looking to kind of get back on the right track?
For me, there's always bad blood when I'm fighting people. It's not like football where we're getting paid the same salary if we win or lose. So this guy is trying to take food from my table. I look at it like that, and there's also a little bit of the bragging right in the northern England, where I've been coming a lot doing my fight camps and stuff. So yeah, you can call it bad blood, but yeah, in a way. Not really something personal, like he's done something personal to me, but I take it very personal when I'm fighting.
Absolutely. Has that mindset changed at all now that you're coming off a loss, or has it always kind of been the same for you going forward?
Nah, it's always been the same. It's always like, of course, it put a bit more fuel on coming from that loss. I didn't really feel like I showcased my skills in the last fight, and there's a lot of things that I could have done better. But that is history, and now the focus is on this fight, and it's just for me to prove that I'm one of the best in the world in this division.
Of course. What do you think you need to do to kind of prove that you're the best in the world and pick up the win later this month?
I'm gonna go in there and finish Jack. That's what I need to do. Yeah, a win is not just a win in this sport. You need to prove yourself, and I'm gonna go in there and try to finish this guy from start to end. That's what I think I need to do. But yeah, just showcase myself, and I know what I'm capable of, and I'm just gonna go in there and perform with my best.
Have you focused on anything specific in your training camp leading up to Cartwright this time, or is there anything you feel like you've had to sharpen going into this camp?
Yeah, so I've been since my last fight. I've been working a bit, like, not the mindset, but I feel like the last fight we were thinking too much about what he was gonna do and not so much what I was gonna do. My last fight, and I always used to be a fighter who just focusing on me and what I'm gonna do, and that's what I'm gonna do in with this fight. So that's the biggest change. But yeah, of course, there's a different opponent, so there's different things to look out for, and that's what we've been preparing for in this whole fight camp. I feel like me and my team have broken his game down really good, and feel like we're very prepared for whatever he comes with. But then said again, it's not about what he's gonna bring, it's what I'm gonna bring. And I'm aware of what kind of weapons he have, but I've always also been sharpening my own weapons and been more focused on that as well. So yeah, that's the biggest difference from the last fight to this fight, I feel.
Of course. I mean, let's talk about that fight for a little bit. I noticed in the second round of that fight, it looked like he was going to put you away, but obviously he didn't, and you guys ended up having a great fight. But just walk me through that mental process that you had, kind of trying to weather the storm and moving forward.
I'm not gonna go in there and quit. And you saw it in the fight as well. Even when he did the illegal knees, I had many chances to leave that fight before the time, and I just choose not to. Even when he was throwing the illegal knees, I could have probably have got the victory because of that. But that's just not who I am. I would not be able to look myself in the mirror if that's how I won any fight. And yeah, maybe I got a loss and I lost the belt, but I kept my honor, and that's in the end of the day the most important thing for me. So yeah, it's just not in me. Actually, in that fight, I learned myself a lot. I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about like a lot of fighters, because I was in these positions where I easily could have like given up, and nobody would have thought about me. It was me giving up because I was deep in submissions, or I could have stopped fighting, but that's just not how I am. I don't want to give up for anything, and actually sometimes when some of the positions I was laying in that fight, I was thinking like 90% of these other fighters, they're quitters because they would have taken the easy way out, and that's just not what I'm about. I always believe in myself. I always believe I could finish this fight even when I was like behind, and yeah, so that's, and it was a great fight. I was nominated to the one of the fight of the years, so that's something good as well. But it was just not 100% me in there. But I did what I could. I could have quitted easily, but I don't do that. Even if I'm coming into a fight, I'm not 100%. I'll still fight till the end. It's like it's about my honor.
Absolutely. When you talked a lot about not quitting, how have you learned to handle adversity inside the cage? Is it something that's been innate to you, or is it something that you've learned throughout your time as a fighter?
Nah, it's something you put on, you learn, and it's not just in the fight; it's just life. I feel like if you want to go this far as I've done in this sport, you cannot be a quitter, and it's something that builds up on you. Like I turned professional after only 2 years of training, and I won my first fight, but after that, I lost 3 fights in a row. And if I would have quitted back then, I had many chances for that. I would not be where I am today, and it would not have learned me and made me the man I am today. So, yeah, it is definitely the fight sport, but also just life in general. Like you cannot quit. Like you just have to keep going, even when it's hard. You just keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's great advice. All over no matter what it is. What does it mean
100%.
to you that you get the opportunity to kind of, build back up to a title and take on this new challenge? Does that mean anything to you?
I just look at it one fight at a time. Jack is somebody I've been wanted to fight for a long time. He was champion in another organization, and unfortunately, it didn't happen back then. But now I have the chance to prove. I saw him fight there, and I was like, "This is the guy I want." And me and my team have been wanted this fight. So when he signed with Oktagon, it was the obvious choice. Like so, yeah. I don't think too much about the title at this point. Um, it's more about my legacy at the moment. But yeah, I want to get that rematch, obviously, but that's not where my focus is now. My focus is on the next fight, and then let's see what happens.
Yeah, of course. You're focusing fight to fight. You said, you train at Manchester Top Team. Um, I personally have spoken to a few guys out of there, Callum Parker, plenty of other guys, and they have nothing but good things to say about that gym. How do you think that gym has molded you as an athlete, as a, I mean, as at this stage in your career?
Definitely. If it wasn't for that gym, I would probably not be fighting anymore. The owner, Carl Prince, like reached out to me when I was like, uh, my former coach like quitted a bit in Denmark, and he invited me to come, and I was staying at his house, and we was training. It was before it was called Manchester Top Team, and like so yeah, definitely it built me up as a fighter. It changed my understanding. I remember first time I came over there, I thought I was going to be training, but I was more learning about fighting than training fighting, and that's how I feel every time I go over there. I get like a different view of the sport, things I can bring back home and work on, and that's been a very good like way for me to do it.
For sure. So you would say it's completely changed your career as a fighter?
100%, 100%. The maybe specifically not uh, Manchester top team, but more Carl as a coach and as a friend. I almost look at him like family now. And yeah, his belief in me made me believe in myself as well, and made me understand where we could take this back in the days, and here we are.
Do you have a plan for this year, being that it's so early, it's only January, or any goals for the year?
Be as active as possible. Probably sign a new contract with Oktagon and see what they have to offer. I really enjoy fighting for them. I really feel like it's an amazing platform, and they're just expanding it to other countries. So for me to build my legacy in Octagon, and yeah, Octagon is a little bit like every fighter's dream. So when I grew up, the only place that looked like Octagon was the UFC. But I feel like I'm getting the experience that fighters was getting in the early days in the UFC, because the Octagon fans are so supportive. Like the Czech and Slovakia fans I have is like, it's crazy. So yeah, my goal is to be active and put on good shows for these guys. They give me so much support and so much from all that love they're giving me. So I would like to put on a lot of fights this year, be active. Last year I only had like 2 fights. I would like 3 or 4 fights this year.
Absolutely. You said it was a fighter's dream because of the fan base. But like, what else about Octagon makes it like that? I've heard plenty of people call it that. I'm just curious to hear your thoughts on it.
I've been fighting for a lot of big events. I've been fighting for Cage Wars, ACA. It was called ACB back then. Bama. I've been fighting for Fen in Poland. That was the second biggest one when I was fighting there and stuff. And it's just a different vibe. It's just they're so professional, and they're all about taking care of the fighters. So that makes us want to perform better. And they're just looking at us not just like as a product, just as humans, or they really respect us, and they respect we're getting like from everybody who works there. And you can always ask, and whatever it is, if you need something, they'll just bring it to you. You can always get driven over to wherever you want. You almost have like a private driver when you're there, and just the whole company, it's just how it should be, very professional. You have to remember, MMA, it's a fight sport. It's a very dirty game, like very dirty people who's behind some of these organizations, and they don't give a fuck about the fighters. They just want to sell tickets and or pay-per-views and get rich. But I feel like with Octagon, of course it's still a business, but you feel very respected, very welcome. The fans have a very great understanding about MMA. The way I always look at organizations is, I don't look at how they treat people when they're winning. I look how they treat people when it's not going their way, and that's where Octagon is so different, because I feel like Octagon as an organization, but also the fans, they respect a good fight. So you get a lot of love if you just bring a good fight. They don't really care about if you win or lose. Of course, that's more for yourself, but they just want a good fight. And if you bring hard, and if you're just a good person, you'll get a lot of support. And I feel like that's very, very, very nice, because that's how it should be in fighting sport.
Absolutely. Couple more questions. Let's take it back a little. How did you get the nickname Shark? I'm curious to hear the story behind that.
Yeah, it was actually one of my first MMA coaches. So I don't know if this is true, but I was very strong for my weight class and stuff. So and he said like a shark is like one big muscle, so he just started calling me Shark. And then also the fact that I was always in the gym, so it came also like with the saying about gym shark. So yeah, that was the reason. I didn't give it to myself.
Yeah, I mean, all the nicknames are better when somebody else gives them to you.
Yeah,
So that's a great
yeah,
story.
ours are very, very bad. Some of them, the worst ones, you're not giving yourself. But you can sometimes hear when people have made their own nickname, they're like a bit too fancy. But yeah, this one was given to me by
That's
a coach.
awesome. One more question. How does it feel, you're getting to fight in all these arenas around Europe? Um, how does it feel, going back to Central Europe, like the Czech Republic, or excuse me, Czechoslovakia, um, and now you're getting to go fight close to home, your adopted home in Northern England.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. The thing I'm looking most forward to fighting in Newcastle is definitely be fighting an Englishman in England, because that's a bit of a story, and we have a lot of Danish fighters who's gone to England and beat a lot of English guys up. It's just in our nature as Vikings. We go there and beat these English guys up. So for me, that's the biggest part of this fight. And I hopefully like the Octagon can have success and build a big fan base in England as well as they've done in Czech Republic. But I must say I enjoy fighting in Czech and Slovakia. I like, just because of the vibe and the fans, and it's just a different vibe when you the fighter the fans are so invested in fighting over there. It's almost like a national sport. Uh, so yeah, it's gonna be fun to see how Newcastle is gonna bring it on. But for me, it's not about the war. It's more about me going there and fighting a guy from England once again in England. And yeah, it's gonna be fun. I hope they're gonna be booing me and shouting at me, because that's the best thing I know. I used to go and fight outside a lot. There's not a lot of events in Denmark and stuff, so I'm used to that. And now I feel like when I'm fighting in Czech, I'm almost like a home guy there. So then they're not booing me or nothing. So I'm gonna be missing. I'm been missing that a bit, because it just gives me a bit more drive. So let's see what the Newcastle fans have to say. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm looking so much forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a great time. So you lean into the booze. How do you kind of turn that into motivation?
I just love to shut people off. I love to just prove people wrong. I love being the underdog. It's the best thing I know. Like, and I perform better when I'm an underdog. When it's when people are doubting me, I'm like, okay, motherfuckers, let me show you. And that's just my mindset. I feel like I'm actually better when I'm an underdog. Like my last fight, I was a big overdog, and I was like, it was a bit of a flat feeling going in, because everybody was like, "Oh, I just came up from a big knockout against a former UFC fighter, fresh out of the UFC, Gustavo, knocked him out, and then I'm coming in, and everybody like think, oh, this guy." And so now going to another country, and they want to see me get my face punched in, it's gonna be very wonderful. I absolutely love that. It's the best thing for me. I love being the underdog. That's why, because also it's what I've been used to, like building up my career. I've always been the underdog. Going to Poland, winning the title there against a Polish fighter, everybody thought I was gonna lose. Going to England, fighting for Cage Warriors against undefeated guy who's now the Cage Warriors champion, and beat the shit out of him, taking his first. Giving him his first loss, and fighting in Bama on 2 weeks' notice against a tough Brazilian kid who I also was supposed to lose to, and I also beat him. So it's just a bit. And going to Germany when I was fighting in ACA, I was also supposed to lose in a way, and I also went in there and beat him, and going to Czech Republic, fighting for the belt against the hometown guy and beat him as well. So I'm looking very much forward to this.
Finish yourself. It kind of sets it up for you. I think that's all the questions I've got. Once again, everybody, this is Jonas Mågård, and he's fighting January 27th against Jack Cartwright for Oktagon MMA. Everybody check him out. Jonas, best of luck. We'll all be tuning in.
Enjoy.
Yeah, thanks again.